Welcome. Could you please join me in Gassho? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. I'd like to welcome you all to our CBE seminar on the essence of the Three Pure Land Sutras. Our goal for the CBE has been to focus seminars on three areas of Jodo Shinshu: doctrinal, practical application, and Jodo Shinshu's relation to popular culture. We've asked all of you and also our BCA ministers to help us by suggesting topics for these seminars. Today's seminar is one that has been suggested by our BCA minister and is primarily doctrinal, but also practical in the sense of how we can chant the Jodo Sambukyo, Three Pure Land Sutras, the primary sutras for our Jodo Shinshu teachings. Today we have two of our BCA's best to teach us. First, we'll have Reverend Katsuya Kusunoki, who is the Rinban head minister of the Seattle Betsuin Buddhist Temple. He was born and raised in Nagasaki, Japan. His older brother is the 17th generation head minister of their family temple in Japan. Reverend Kusunoki graduated from Miyazaki University, where he majored in primary education before deciding to come to the Buddhist Churches of America. He also taught 3rd and 6th grade. He has a special ritual certificate from our Jodo Shinshu Hunganji-ha, one of only 2 of our BCA members. The other one, lucky for the Northwest, is also Reverend Tadao Koyama. Reverend Kusunoki has served the BCA at Lodi Buddhist Temple from 2010 to 2017, then coming to the Seattle Betsuin as Rinban in 2017. He's married to Ayano, and they have one son, Yuya. Reverend Kusunoki will be followed by Reverend Kiyonobu Kuwahara, who many of you know. He was born in Kure City, Hiroshima, into a temple family. He graduated from Hiroshima University and Ryukoku University for his master's, and upon completing his PhD studies in Jodo Shinshu, came to IBS, Institute of Buddhist Studies, for another MA in Jodo Shinshu. He has served as one of the directors for our CBE and is the current coordinator of the Jodo Shinshu Correspondence Course and the International Ministerial Orientation Program. He is also director of the Jodo Shinshu International Center, headquartered in San Francisco. As you can see, Reverend Kuwahara is an extremely busy man. I'm sure he's assisted in all this by his wife, he told me. I'm sure he could not complete his ministerial obligations without her, since they have 3 very active boys, Takato, Eito, and Hiroto. On top of all this, Reverend Kuwahara has been the resident minister of the Berkeley Buddhist Temple since 2018. Now, for an old BCA minister like myself, these 2 younger ministers give me some hope for the future of BCA's continuation of Jodo Shinshu in America. And I hope the seminar will contribute to all of your better understanding of our Jodo Shinshu tradition. So now I'll turn the time over to Reverend Kusunoki and Reverend Kuwahara.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Thank you for participating in this CBE seminar today. Then I'd like to express my appreciation to CBE for me to this time to share the Buddha Dharma. Especially my part is the chanting part. Then today's topic is the Three Pure Land Sutras. The Three Pure Land Sutra, we are following the Three Pure Land Sutra. We study Three Pure Land Sutra. Then I don't know if you have ever seen the Three Pure Land Sutra. This is the scrolls of the Three Pure Land Sutras. Have you ever seen this before? So in the Hondo, in the Naijin, some smaller temple may not have these Three Pure Land Sutra scrolls, but some temple may have these Three Pure Land Sutra in the Naijin usually. Then in this scroll, this is Amida Sutra. all written in kanji characters of Amida Sutra. Nyoze Gamon Ichiji Butendai Shae Kok. So these are the three Pure Land Sutras. I don't know you have ever seen these scrolls, opened the scrolls before, but each temple should have these three Pure Land Sutra in the Naijin. Let's see. Then this year, a couple months ago, I truly appreciated Jodo Shinshu International Office published this Three Pure Land Sutra chanting book. So I'd like to share the reason why JSIO, Jodo Shinshu International Office, published this book. Kuwahara Sensei, could you share screen on the acknowledgement page? So today, I'm thinking, I'd like to explain introducing this book, the acknowledgement part, table of contents. Then at the end, there is an explanatory. Then we actually chant these three Pure Land Sutras. Then today, we chant not first half, 1/3 of the larger sutra, volume 1. Those who have this book, Kuwahara Sensei is going to share screen later. So from page 10 to page 11 to page 20. So today we are going to chant 10 pages today. Oh, here is the Three Pure Land Sutra chanting book, PDF copy. Please all go to the page 5, Kuwahara Sensei. So here is the acknowledgement. Let me read this first. In Jodo Shinshu, the Three Pure Land Sutra delivered by Shakyamuni Buddha, the Sutra on the Buddha of Immeasurable Life, the Sutra of Contemplation on the Buddha of Immeasurable Life, the Contemplation Sutra, and the Sutra on Amida Sutra are the scriptures which we rely on as our doctrinal basis. English translations of these sutras are available, but unfortunately, there was no liturgical material of these works for people who cannot read Japanese until now. Only the Romanized chanting version of such passages as Juseige, Sambutsuge, which are contained in the larger sutra as well as the Amida Sutra were available. Therefore, there was no possibility for the non-Japanese speaking audience to be able to chant the Three Pure Land Sutra in its entirety. In the Pure Land way, Master Shantao, one of the 7 masters, explained the 5 right practices for attaining birth in the Pure Land. They are 1, chanting the sutra. 2, meditating on Amida Buddha and his land, Pure Land. 3, worshiping Amida Buddha. 4, reciting the Nembutsu. And 5, praising the making offering to Amida. The 4th is referred to as the act of the true settlement, which directly assured birth in the Pure Land. And the rest are called auxiliary acts, which only assist with the Nembutsu practice. These practices are the religious actions recommended for Nembutsu followers like us to carry out in their daily lives. We express our joy to be able to encounter Namo Amida Butsu and the guidance of the Pure Land through chanting the sutra. With this in mind, it is my hope that more people can experience chanting the Three Pure Land Sutra, listening to the guidance of these teachings, and deepening their understanding and appreciation of the Nembutsu path. So this is the reason why we published this book. Okay, please go to the table of contents. Page 7. So this book has the first acknowledgement. The next is the overview of the sutra on the larger sutra, sutra on the Buddha of immeasurable life. Then the Romanized larger sutra part 1, part 2, then overview of the sutra of contemplation on the Buddha of immeasurable life, Contemplation Sutra. Then the Romanized the sutra, Contemplation Sutra. Then after that, overview of the sutra on Amida Buddha, Amida Sutra. Then the Romanized Amida Sutra. Then on the page 117, there is the Nembutsu and echo. Please go to the 117, Kuwahara Sensei. So on the page 117, there is a Nembutsu and echo. So this sutra chanting is, you can chant section by section. You don't have to chant the entire sutra at one time. So if you go to section by section, then one day, today maybe we chant the first part of the larger sutra, then we chant Nembutsu echo. Then tomorrow you can chant the second section of the larger sutra, then you can chant Nembutsu and echo. So you can go section by section, then you can chant Nembutsu and echo. We listed Nembutsu and echo very end of this book. Then at the end of this book, I put the explanatory. Go to the next page. Let me read this. Chanting of the sutra is an act of the expression of spontaneous joy that is based on faith in Amida Buddha. It is the highest ritual motion expressing veneration to the Buddha. 2, the specific edition is based on the Shinshu liturgy of the Three Sutras Sutra compiled by Chuo Bukkyo Gakuin. So this is a source, original book. So those who can read hiragana, you can find the hiragana. All hiragana is also written in this book. Then 3, the parts where the chosho leader is supposed to chant solo are marked in bold italic lettering. For example, Bussetsu Muryojukyo. Then 4, areas that are in beyond nasal pronunciation were written as TSU with parentheses. The 5, words that need to be audibly drawn out, underlined, for example, ichi, ichiyo. So if you find the underlines, this means hold the note, or 2 beats. Number 6, words that have the diacritical mark of a line drawn above the letter mean that the Japanese letter u is attached there. Though there's an example. So Bussetsu Muryojukyo, there's a lines above O, KYO. Then this means u, we pronounce u at the end, kyo. Then number 7, the words that have hyphen in between are read as one word. So mu, ryo. So there's a hyphen in between. So mu, ryo is just one word, muryo. Number 8, double S or double consonant will be used to signify sokuon, geminate consonant that are found in Japanese. Sometimes we call this small tsu, small tsu. So number 9, the notation, the circle signifies where to sound the bell, and the loudness of the strike will be demarcated by the size of the circle. Number 10, the numbers written in brackets correspond to the numbering of the section that can be found in the Chushakuban Seiten or the Three Sutra written by Shin Buddhist Translation Series. So these are the books, the Three Sutra Translation Series. Okay, then number 11, When chanting with a number of people, the pace of the chanting is kept by the use of settaku udon clapper. This one. I'm going to use this during the chanting. They are struck at the first syllable of each line. Then number 12, no striking settaku at the beginning of the title of the sutra. Okay, so this is a brief explanatory of this book, how to use this book. So now, I would like to actually chanting the larger sutra, volume 1. So from using this book, today we try 2 sections. So page 11 to page 12. So those who have the copy of this book, please open the page 11. So I'm thinking to taking about 20 to 25 minutes. I try not to go too fast. So I hope everyone can follow the sutra chanting of Raja Sutra today. Well, please try your best. Are you ready? Okay. Okay, first we do gassho, right? Hi, please join me in gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Nam. Before we open this book, we itadaku, we show our respect first, then open the book.無料儒教感情我門女税一時仏樹王者女義者屈仙十四大比丘衆万二千肉一切大小人数異脱五妙和尊者両本在尊者正願尊者正語尊者大語尊者人間尊者陸尊者妙門尊者前実尊者具足尊者合法尊者ウルビンラカショ尊者ガヤカショ尊者ナダイカショ尊者マカカショ尊者シャリホ尊者大目犍連尊者コヒムナ尊者大樹尊者大上司尊者マカシュナ尊者万願寺尊者理所尊者老官尊者見福尊者面の尊者異常尊者臨床尊者から尊者前来尊者ら運尊者花戒尿使徒常習者や有用大乗中菩薩普賢菩薩妙徳菩薩理事菩薩と資源語中一切菩薩無限語と十六生寺全思義菩薩心霊菩薩空無菩薩人図形菩薩紅葉菩薩平常菩薩智道菩薩寂根菩薩願念菩薩構造菩薩紅葉菩薩中住菩薩 制御菩薩、下脱菩薩、海順普賢、外事士徳、愚正菩薩、無量行願、安住一切、空読四法、有部実法、行言方便、有仏法蔵、空教悲願、法無量世界、現状当学、小等祖天、偶戦消防、社費天狗、凡人毛体、十不教書、現行七部、公明権女、無償実法、無料仏道、六種神道、交渉自称、五等仰せ、義務上尊、百本無事、天人記号、次元三芸、門芸者語、白素道術、関連愚弱、有王五年、法無資源、弁償空樹、式味試験、天老病死、公正非常、帰国在位、入選学道、仏上白名、宝冠要楽、剣士両言、社賃妙平、二着法部、海上修法、丹田中下、根空六年、行尿小法、言語俗説、随順群女、理不人空、目欲根類、天南重視、特犯出地、料金欲受、大芸道場、官庁表彰高訴、愛住清掃、不仏中下、家父二座、雲大公明、島知識、魔族漢族、二来必死、聖一力、改良合福、徳美妙法、上西小学、作本機関、小天法輪、異仏有部、仏句肉、空北、水法ら、修本権、根本の新法来、要本で、不法有遠法性、上位法、各小政権、公明不詳、無料仏道、一切世界、六種神道、総称魔界、ローマ宮殿、終魔勝負、幕府貴福、隠れん者も、消滅小戦、三小人禄、栄翔翼前、言語法上、海戦訪問、戦辱空を、天明小白、交友仏法、戦流証言、入国文明、逆小風前、特空独自福伝、翼戦法、言言書、異書翻訳、空量三空、権限同意、無料空読、十宝殺気、上等小学、次元滅道、上西無国、少女小老、直習特本、偶則空読、微妙難量、優勝仏国、普賢道教、交渉修行、上々無平、非尿原子、原種異像、異難異尿、無償普賢、本学妙量、外非小非、師匠菩薩、学部尿税、学一切法、乾燥流連、小獣安泰、未風地家、無臭仏道、開始普賢、未造満子、民情修女、尿税司法、一切偶則、菩薩教伝、空調要妙、妙正不死、道後実法、無料小仏、言具五年、仏性十社、会意特樹、大小小流、二階一流、如来道家、格納専務、一種菩薩、二差大師、異人前例、街道主任、通称法書、合衆修上層、妙量小国、空用小仏、軽減合心、有尿伝行、全学無意思も、少量原型司法、系列魔も、芸商伝幕、小小門、円学指示、国空無双、無願三昧、全流方便、賢治三女、 法師中下二元滅度薬無少差薬無少有無期不滅特平等法風速成就無量掃除百千三昧小根知恵幸福弱情人流菩薩法蔵特仏敬言三昧千長演説一切教伝求人縄文執刀現在小仏一年死去無風周辺最小逆難表現不言分別見示真実司祭特徴如来弁財施地立正言論会計一切超過政権少々有法心情体重同性指導を一切満物水維持在一生書類作不少子不画部群女医師重担十字如来人人法蔵公仏修上上司不列古代非民主上演じべ流方言倒産宗改善も異不少子法聖書来書標準教師子愛教部も法書修上自虐自己一切全本街道悲願金逆勝仏無料空読知恵称名不可思議納税使徒菩薩大事不可証言一時来へ日世尊小根越長知識少女高原義義尊者な成仏長子即十先天壇風見上記合唱二百仏言今日生尊小根越長知識少女高原義義如名状況両長表裏異様権力超絶無量未造戦と宗名妙根唯念大小が新年後今日生尊重機独法今日生法十仏小樹今日生言柔道修行今日西洋十歳衝動今日天尊行如来徳高来現仏仏少年特無根仏天正仏や学校偉人高校内に大勢生尊ご阿難は運が阿難昇天教如来門仏や慈悲平見門に言語阿難百仏無不昇天来教画社慈悲正見門師義に仏言全在阿難正門人家本人知恵神妙弁財因縁修上門師営義如来無害大悲後輩三害超異出向王政公選道教六条群網永遠真実地理無料北高南地南県幽霊随形時事内出根性門社箇所尿薬会計一切商店人民阿難統治如来小学合地難量箇所道後英検無限無能悪絶一残死力能十寿命億百千後無種無量無可奉仕小根越長不意既存知識不変高原無意消費者が如来上平空調無極 法一切法二徳自在、阿南大長、根二尿節、大和唯念、願行欲も、仏言阿南、内容過去、不音無量、不可思議、無応修行、上皇如来、公出王政、教慶道達、無量修上、改良徳度、大衆滅道、死有如来、妙法広本、死妙学校、死妙仙断校、死妙前線の、死妙趣味天眼、死妙趣味遠い、死妙合式、死妙少年、死妙陸、死妙無弱、死妙流天、死妙夜子、死妙安妙長、死妙不動寺、死妙瑠璃妙慶、死妙瑠璃根人、死妙根蔵、円光、死妙円光、死妙自動、死妙学道、死妙日東、死妙下だけ、死妙将軍公明、死妙改革人図、死妙水光、死妙大光、死妙理人空、死妙社変に、死妙法変、死妙妙長、死妙有流、死妙空毒寺へ、死妙平日学校、死妙日学瑠璃校、死妙無常瑠璃校、死妙最上宗、死妙膨大家、死妙学妙、死妙日光、死妙形式法、死妙水学校、死妙上智妙、死妙道外業、死妙上心、死妙前宿、死妙異人、死妙法平、死妙乱の、死妙死死本、死妙流音、死妙小生、尿死小仏、開始以下理事死不仏、妙世自在王如来、大具東小学妙行則、全税政権芸無常寺、上皇上部天人師仏聖自負国王文部説法、新年越長人発無常昇進同意、帰国縁の行者者も、高圧法蔵功罪有鉄、行政長位芸政自在王如来所、慶州仏足有尿三蔵、長期合唱移住三話、高原義義異人無国尿税遠妙、不要当社日月間に、中高遠尿開始音符、有脈十目如来用言、小生無林小学大王、オール実法開門精進、知恵意徳無理、修正慶雨人体前年小仏崩壊、友人人の空語外体、無名欲る生存用無、人の死死人徳無量、空君広大知恵人妙光明必須、神道大仙願が差別在所法、華道生じ未不下脱不正上位、解任精進納税三昧、知恵以上合成特別不行志願、一切空空一切大安慶始有仏、百千六万無料大小修行語者、不要一切死と勝負、不尿愚道検証不逆非尿語者、小仏世界不不影無臭節度、光明失笑変地小国、妙税精進異人難量量が差、国道第一五周奇妙道長超絶、国尿内音二無闘争、加藤愛民道達一切、実法来生新熱少女、伊藤が国経楽安の、公部神妙税が新書、北岸の非力少々欲、 立法生存、知恵無下、上量子孫、自我信行、軽量心死、食毒中、画行精進、人中不下、仏言阿難、法蔵美句、摂氏十位、二百仏言、唯念生存、我法無常、小学死心、願仏意が光線凶暴、加藤修行、摂取仏国、症状将軍、無料平等、ヨガ法制、食上将軍、合唱生じ、言空資本、仏言阿難、自世女法仏、合法蔵美句、妙正修行、修言仏道、如字統治、美句白仏、市議宮人、飢餓境外、遺願生存、行為不言、小仏如来、浄土修行、我門師、公尿摂取行、上満生涯、一時世自在応仏、死後公明、志願人口、即位法蔵美句、二節教語、医療大会、一輪少量、省略故障、消化具体、国語妙法、人類指針、超人愚道、不死、国家、我願不徳、大勢、政治在応仏、即位公絶、一十億小仏節の天人自然なく国土思想、情報合心願、信玄用紙、慈悲美句、文仏小説、根性国土、開心統計、東北無常、修正志願、高心弱情、死無小弱、一切政権、無能牛舎、偶足合庫、私有摂取、将軍仏国、頂上修行、阿難白仏、異仏国土、上領祈願、仏言合仏、寿命、四十二個、二法蔵美句、摂取210億、小仏尿道、症状修行、尿税周囲、経費仏性、慶州来則、尿仏三蔵、合唱20、白仏言生存、外摂取、将軍仏道、症状修行、仏言美句、尿根仮説、義地税事、発起越下、一切大衆、菩薩門に修行司法、天地満足、無料大願、美句白仏、唯随長雑、ヨガ正願、東具摂氏。ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブガンニシクドク平等正祭道法菩大心大上あんらこ Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Navanda, 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 Nam. Thank you everyone for joining the sutra chanting. So today we chanted, I would say maybe 1/3 of the larger sutra volume 1. So after this part, Dharmakara Bodhisattva's 48 vows, then Juseige. By the way, did you recognize the Sambutsuge during the chanting? You know, Sambutsuge, now you know Sambutsuge is in the larger sutra. So then 48 vows, Juseige, then the aspect of the Pure Land, the larger sutra volume 1 is telling us that type of stories. So this is the sutra chanting of chanting of Three Pure Land Sutra. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I'd like to ask Kuwahara Sensei to give us a lecture on the Three Pure Land Sutra. よろしくお願いします。
はい、Kusunoki Sensei, ありがとうございました。Thank you very much, Kusunoki Sensei. And then thank you everyone for joining today's CB Sofa, ね、オンライン、何だったっけ Seminar online for all, ね、which is a good acronym. I like that. And then also I'd like to thank CBE for coordinating today's seminar. So CBE now organizing, coordinating wonderful lecture series, usually twice a month. So I hope you will receive a great benefit from CBE's. Okay, so before I start, may I give you some materials that I use for today? I just uploaded the files on chat. I hope everybody can download and open them. If not, don't worry. They are just supplemental, materials. So I'm going to talk for about 45 minutes or 50 minutes, and then hopefully we can have some, question and answer session after my presentation. I hope this is okay. Hi. Okay, so let me share my screen. Hi. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sharing the screen. Okay. Hi. Yes. Hi. So the essence of the Pure Land Sutras, I have 45 minutes, and then I'm going to talk, a little bit about the Three Pure Land Sutra, but I do know this is not enough because, Three Pure Land Sutras carry so many items, topics, teachings, right? So 45 minutes is not enough. I just came or talk a little bit about, Three Pure Land Sutra today. So before I jump into the content or teaching of the Three Pure Land Sutra, let me briefly talk about the Buddhist Sutra. So now you see three pictures. So the top two is a Chinese translation because Buddhism started in India originally in Indian languages. And then Buddhism came to China, and then sutras were translated into Chinese. But at the early stage, today we use paper, Buddhist Sutra printed on paper, right? But at the early stage of Buddhism, palm leaves were used to, record Buddha's teaching. That are the very original style of Buddhist sutra. And then, of course, those teachings, words, came originally from Shakyamuni Buddha, the founder of Buddhism. So about 2,500 years ago, in India, I think this 2,500 BC is wrong. I think 2,500 years ago from today. It's a kind of 500 BC or 600 BC. Sorry, my mistake on this slide. So Shakyamuni Buddha, he used to be a prince of a kingdom, right? But due to his life experience, he decided to, throw everything. And then he left home and then became a practitioner to figure out how to deal with inevitable, inseparable human suffering, human difficulties. And then that is the start of Buddhism. Yeah. And then after a long spiritual quest, struggle, practice, finally, he attained enlightenment and then became an enlightened one, Buddha. Yeah. And then right after attaining enlightenment, he had a kind of struggled or hesitated to share the Dharma or wisdom with other people or not. He could stay or enjoy this wisdom enlightenment by himself. But he decided to share the Dharma, wisdom to other people, or to all, human beings. So this is because he knew not only himself, but all beings in this world living in samsara, having a difficult time, tough life, right? So he knew wisdom is the remedy to deal with, to solve the issue of all human beings. So that's why, based on from the bottom of his compassion or compassionate heart, he decided to share the wisdom. So I would say compassion, the bottom line, the definition of compassion in Buddhism would be to share wisdom with other people. Of course, being nice, kind to other people, that is also part of compassion. But originally, the compassion in Buddhism is to share the wisdom, which is a very remedy of human suffering. Right? So Shakyamuni Buddha, he started the life to share the wisdom, Dharma, with other people. This is mainly to guide the enlightened. And then to revelate all beings in suffering, having a hard time in this samsara, right? So to liberate them from the endless cycle of suffering, samsara. That is the purpose, the reason why Shakyamuni Buddha, he devoted himself, his life, to share the Dharma. So we, as a Buddhist, have to be carefully think about who is Shakyamuni Buddha talking about, right? To share the Dharma, right? To guide the unenlightened. Who is the unenlightened? Shakyamuni Buddha is not talking about somebody else. Shakyamuni Buddha tries to reach me, tries to deliver Dharma to me or to each of you, right? So who is living in the endless cycle of suffering, samsara? Not my wife, not my boys, right? It's me who is now living in this samsara. So this is one of the very important point when we listen to the Dharma. right? Buddha is not talking about somebody else. Buddha is talking to me. Buddha is delivering this treasure to myself, right? So this guy with longer hair, and I have a shorter hair because, pandemic, no, barbers open. So that's why I decided to, cut my hair. And Hirano sensei recently, he had a short hair too. So I'm living in the 21st century US, but the Shakyamuni Buddha, he lived, about 2,500 years ago in India, right? Totally disconnected, right? Geographically, time period, historically. Me and the Shakyamuni Buddha is totally disconnected. So I have no way to receive the guidance, the treasure of wisdom from Shakyamuni Buddha. So that's why we need sutra, Buddhist sutras, scriptures. Right? This is how we can receive the treasure of Dharma from Shakyamuni Buddha. So in that sense, I would say this Buddhist scriptures, Buddhist sutras, kind of a Buddha in the form of language, in the form of book, in the form of word, right? So this is a kind of issue or question about what is Buddha? So speaking of Buddha, we usually assume, okay, like a golden body, Shakyamuni Buddha, like a human shape, right? But to me, Buddha, this is one definition or interpretation. So Buddha is the wisdom and the compassion, right? What is Buddha? Buddha is the wisdom and compassion. And then, so Buddhist sutras, right, carries or delivering Buddha's wisdom. And then I received here, right? All causes and conditions, I could unfortunately receive this gift, this treasure, right? So in that sense, this is Buddha itself, right? When we carefully read this sutra, we can see, we can meet Buddha, right? So in that sense, this book, Buddhist Sutra, is Buddha itself. So that's why when we, chant the sutra, we show our respect to this Buddha, because this is, in a sense, Buddha himself, Buddha itself. Right? So Buddhist Sutra is not just a literature, right? Depending on how you appreciate it, or depending on how you discover the message, treasure behind words within this paper book, then you can find something very, very profound in this book. So in that sense, Buddhist Sutra is not just a literature. So now you see next slide, a boy is running. So to the red flag. So in Buddhism, we say three essentials: teaching, practice, and realization. So teaching is like a direction or instructions, where to go, how to get there, right? And then practice is an actual, like a progress toward the goal, destination. Right? And then enlightenment, that is a goal to become a Buddha. Right? So as a Buddhist, this is our process. This is our life, receiving instructions, directions, and then making a progress toward our destination to become a Buddha. So Buddhist, we have a common goal. We share the common goal, which is to become enlightened Buddha, or to attain enlightenment. But each of us, right? Each of us living a different life, right? Different place, different occupation, different age, different work situation, different health condition. Right? Each of us are different. So that's why Buddha compassionately delivered different teachings so that each of us can find my path, most appropriate, suitable path among many choices, right? So that's why, although Buddhism has a one goal, but to get there, there are many entrances. There are many different gates. So symbolically, it is said 84,000 Dharma gates. Right? So many different gates, entrances, leading towards the one goal. And then it's our responsibility which gate, entrance, we should pick, choose. Right? So to do so, first we need to know ourselves. What is the best, most suitable path for me? Right? So that's why it's very important to know ourselves too. This is a kind of another example of talking about this diversity, variety of Buddhist teaching. So you see the picture, California. I'm living in Berkeley, and I'm at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple right now, and living in, say, it's a summertime vacation. Okay, let's go to San Diego. From Bay Area, Berkeley to San Diego, how to get there? Of course, we go to SF4, San Francisco, or maybe Oakland Airport, take a flight, fly down to San Diego. That's one way to get there. Amtrak, long distance bus or cruise. If I am healthy enough, I can, ride on bicycle, right? All the way, from Bay Area to down to San Diego, or maybe if I have a time and then no money, hitchhike is another way to get there. And then nowadays, I'm sure most of you using an Uber, right? Pick up my cell phone and then open the Uber app and then find a car who may, take me down to, San Diego, right? Like this is kind of door to door, although it's really costly, very expensive. And then maybe if I am healthy enough, I can walk all the way down to San Diego from Berkeley, right? I don't know how long does it take, but the maybe cheapest way, to get there. So to arrive in San Diego, there are many different choices, right? There are many various ways to get there. And I'd say that is Buddhism too. One destination, but the different ways, depending on my financial situation. If I want to have to go to arrive at San Diego as soon as possible, flight is the best way, the shortest time, but we have to pay, or long distance bus or Uber. There are many different ways depending on my condition. So various teaching, various sutras. This is one idea to look at the variety, diversity of Buddhist teaching. Again, when we choose my path as a Buddhist, it's very important to know ourselves. And then so many Buddhist teachings, Tibetan Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism. Within Mahayana Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, Tendai Buddhism, Zen Buddhism. And then there are many Buddhist sutras. And then among all those Buddhist scriptures, Buddhist sutras, Honen Shonin, who was a teacher of Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, he selected three sutras, focusing on Amida Buddha's guidance, Amida Buddha's embrace. So again, Honen Shonin, he used to be a Tendai monk. He devoted all his life as a Tendai monk, but eventually he just focused on exclusively follow the guidance path of Nembutsu practice or Amida Buddha's teaching. And then to have a better understanding, what is Amida Buddha's guidance? What is Amida Buddha's direction? Right? And then he had a very good deep knowledge of widely, Buddhist scriptures, Buddhist studies. And then among many Buddhist sutras, he especially selected Sutra on the Buddha of Immeasurable Life, which is called the Larger Sutra. So today, Kusunoki Sensei chant just a part of this Larger Sutra. And then the second one is Sutra of the Contemplation on the Buddha of Immeasurable Life, which we call Contemplation Sutra. And then the third one is Amida Sutra. I know the first two is really long, so that's why usually we don't chant them at the temples. But Amida Sutra, I know some temples chant at the memorial service or monthly, Shotsuki monthly memorial service at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple. Every month, first Sunday, we chant Amida Sutra, which are relatively shorter than the other two. So Honen Shonin selected the Three Pure Sutra. Then today, I gave, so I just posted the two files. And then one was this supplement materials, 8-page long material. And then, which is a kind of, I put some passages from Shinran Shonin's writing or Three Pure Sutras, and then some other materials so that you can, take a look. So for example, this is slide 5. And then on the corner of each slide, I put the slide number. So right now you're looking at the slide 5. And then page 1, you can see slide 5, Honen Shonin's selection of the 3 sutras. So this is how Honen Shonin talks about how he selected the 3 Pure Sutras. He also paid attention to Vasubandhu's, one of the 7 masters' writings. Based on the teaching, guidance in those scriptures, Honen Shonin tried to clarify, reveal the Amida Buddha's guidance, Nembutsu teaching. And then Shinran Shonin, he was a follower, disciple of Honen Shonin. And then as a disciple of Honen Shonin, he followed Honen Shonin's selection, choice of sutra. So that's why underneath there, I also quoted Shinran Shonin's passage, his selection of the 3 Pure Sutras. So that's how Shinran Shonin also followed the tradition of 3 Pure Sutras. So Shinran Shonin, he's a founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, or sometimes we call it Shin Buddhism. And this teaching, Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, attracted so many people. And because of I think the importance or character of this teaching in Japan, so many people followed, attracted, drawn to this teaching, and then became the largest Buddhist organization in the country, country of Buddhism, right? And then his teaching, Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, revealed by Shinran Shonin, that was not Shinran Shonin's creation. He just revealed essence or points by 7 masters, the teaching of 7 masters, and then 3 Pure Sutras. So Jodo Shinshu teaching, Shinran Shonin's teaching is rooted or grounded on the teaching of 7 masters and then 3 Pure Sutras. So if we want to have a better or deeper understanding of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism teaching, we need to study the teaching of seven masters. We need to study Three Pure Sutras. That's how we have a better understanding of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. Why Shinran Shonin said this? This is because seven masters says so, or it is written in the Three Pure Sutras. Right? So everything can trace back to the teachings by seven masters or Three Pure Sutras. So that's why very important to study the teaching of seven masters and Three Pure Sutras. So today we are just focusing on seven masters. ごめんなさい、Three Pure Sutras, not seven masters, not today. はい。So now let me share with you some ideas, contents of Three Pure Sutras. Again, so each sutra carries very deep, profound teaching. So this is kind of too short time to talk about everything, cover everything. So for your convenience, just summarize the teachings of each sutra. So larger sutra, the first one, I'd say it is a sutra about Amida Sutra, who guides us, who liberates us from the samsara. How about the Contemplation Sutra? So it is the sutra talking about me. Right? Why do we need a guidance? Why do we need a revelation? Right? Because we are living a life of delusion or three poisons. That is me. Right? So Contemplation Sutra focusing on who to receive the guidance. Why do we need a guidance revelation? Right? And then Amida Sutra. How are we to be liberated? So Amida Buddha tries to give us a guidance or liberate us, and then I am the one to receive the guidance. And then how? The method, is Nembutsu teaching that is taught in the Amida Sutra. I know there are many other important teachings in the three sutras, but this is a very brief summary or roles, contents of the Three Pure Sutras. And then based on this, let me briefly talk about the Three Pure Sutras. So for example, this boy, okay, I want to help people, right? And then to become a doctor, right? And then he became a first medical student, and then study, and then become a doctor, right? So this is how, becoming a doctor who help people, with sick or disease. And then this is kind of same process story. So there is a king inspired about Buddhism. And then this king decided to become a practitioner. Right? And then that practitioner, this king became the Bodhisattva Dharmakara. And then after a long practice, this Bodhisattva became Amida Buddha. Right? So this is kind of one idea of story of Bodhisattva Dharmakara, or how was Amida Buddha born. So today in this supplemental material, if you open page 4, page 5, I put the table of contents. So if you just take a look at this table of contents, you can see some flow or story of this sutra, larger sutra. So this part I'm talking about, for example, like a page 4. For example, page 4, number 2, main body, A. This is what I'm talking about now. Or if we go to page 5, number 2, main body, number 5 to 8. That's what I'm now I'm talking about now. So today, Kusunoki sensei, he chant Sambutsuge. And then also the part we chant today of the larger sutra, there is a story. There is a Buddha. And then this king was inspired by the guidance, teaching from this Buddha. Right? And then this king, really excited with the Buddhist teaching or Dharma. And then, this king praised this Buddha. You are so cool. I want to be like you. That kind of excitement, aspiration, that is Sambutsuge. So the first part of Sambutsuge is kind of praising the Buddha or teacher from whom this king received the Dharma. Right? And the second part of Sambutsuge is expressing his aspiration. Okay, I want to be like you. I want to be Buddha like you. Right? So that is the Sambutsuge. Yeah. And then, okay, so now I want to be Buddha. Yeah. And then how should I become a Buddha? So this king spent a long time, which is called 5 kalpas. Kalpa is the Indian time unit, which is a really, really long time. Spend the 5 kalpas to think about how, how do I become a Buddha? And then after the long, time of consideration, contemplation, and then, okay, now this is how I will, guide, help those in suffering. So this king, as a bodhisattva, established the vows. Or maybe resolution is another way to, say his, commitment or aspiration. Sometimes my computer laptop freezes. Okay. Hi. So this Bodhisattva Dharmakara established the 48 vows, resolutions, talking about how to become a Buddha, or how to guide, help those all beings in suffering. And then right after, in the larger sutra, right after establishing the 48 vows, there is a small short gatha, which is called the summary of 48 vows. That is Jusege. So at the very beginning of Jusege, maybe some of you have read the translation of Jusege while come to the temple, attending a Sunday service, chanting Jusege. So the first part, there are 48 vows are summarized into 3 items. So to attain supreme wisdom, to perform compassion unconditionally to all beings in suffering, and then to have Namo Amida Butsu heard by all beings. So those are the kind of summaries of the 48 vows. And then that is Jusege. So at the Jodo Shinshu temple, when I know we chant Jusege so many times, but and then this is really short. If we maybe it takes 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, right? And sometimes people think, oh, that's because it's short. I don't want to chant Sambutsuge, it's longer. I don't like Amida Kyo, it's really long. Okay, sensei, let's chant the Jusege. But idea is not, because it's short, because it is a summary of Amida Buddha's aspiration or resolution to give us a guidance, to help us, to save us. So that's why Jusege is very, very important. maybe this is the one point that you need to take home today's lecture. And then among the 48 vows, we have a primal vow. And in some translation, it is said original vow. So among the 48 vows, many Pure Land masters, they focus on the 18th vow because they thought this is the most important vow. And then this is a passage of the 18th vow. And I don't have enough time to talk about in detail this vow. So let me share with you my summary. So what is the 18th vow? This is a Buddha's aspiration, Buddha's resolution to try to liberate all beings from the endless cycle of suffering samsara and then have them become Buddha. So one important thing is all beings, all beings, not just talking to, reaching out to wonderful practitioners or sages. Amida Buddha tries to accommodate, accept all beings, whoever we are. So that is one important point of 18th vow. And the second thing is to, this is a aspiration, Amida's aspiration to actualize this great aspiration with a simple practice, our simple recitation, mindful recitation of Namo Amida Butsu. So according to Buddhist understanding Buddhist tradition, to attain birth in the Pure Land, to become a Buddha, takes a really long time, great effort, right? Requires many lifetimes. That is a traditional understanding of how, for us to attain birth in the Pure Land and then to become a Buddha. But this Amida Buddha, according to this 18th vow, right? All sentient beings, just regular beings or sages, whoever you are, it doesn't matter. We just recite a Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, that's it. And everything will be completed. Right? So that's why many Pure Land masters, they realize the importance of this vow. Wow, this is great. And then at the same time, right, we have to think about why we need this simple practice, not a difficult, lengthy practice. Why Amida prepared such a simple practice, right? In other words, this simplicity, ease of practice implies how, my ability of performing Buddhist practice, right? If I'm capable enough, Amida Buddha would prepare a difficult, lengthy practice. But how about my capability? Right? And then the easier, simpler practice, and then can accommodate, accept more people, right? That accord with the first item, all beings. So again, as a Buddhist, our destination is to reach the enlightenment, become a Buddha. And then there are many methods, ways to get there. Right? The Shinran Shonin, according to his understanding, it's kind of, getting on board of a boat or ship. And then Amida carries us from this samsara to the realm of nirvana. So we don't need much effort. It's Amida's working. So that's why other power, right? Easy practice. That's how Jodo Shinshu Buddhism or Amida's teaching is described. Hi. Okay, so that is a kind of brief summary of larger sutra. And then the second sutra is Contemplation Sutra. Now, this is a kind of story of royal family. And then maybe, rather than I explain what it is, you can find a story outline on page 2. I think I'd like to ask somebody to read this outline.
Outline of the Contemplation Sutra, right?
Mm-hmm.
The sutra opens with the so-called tragedy at Rajgara, the story of the royal family of Magadha kingdom at the time of Shakyamuni. For other sources, including the Nirvana Sutra, the story is summarized as follows. King Bimbisara and Queen Vaidehi, having no heir to the throne, consulted a prophet of the court who predicted that an ascetic would be reborn as their son, the crown prince. But since the royal couple could not wait for the ascetic to die, they had one of their retainers kill him. Before long, Vaidehi became pregnant, but hearing of it, the prophet warned them that a child born in this way was bound to wreak injury to his parents. Badly frightened with the prediction, they decided to kill the newborn baby. From a high tower of the palace, the queen dropped the infant, but the baby escaped death with only his little finger broken. This was how the crown prince Ajatasatsu got the nickname Broken Finger. It was Devadatta, the cousin of Shakyamuni Buddha, that induced Ajatasattu to kill his father and seize the throne. Aja imprisoned his father in a jail, expecting his death by starvation. Contrary to his expectation, however, Bimbisara did not die, for Vaidehi secretly brought in food and drink to her husband. When Ajatasattu learned of this, he became enraged and confined his mother, too, in an inner room of the palace. The Contemplation Sutra was expounded for Vaidehi by Shakyamuni Buddha, who was staying in Rajagara and appeared before her in response to her request. It is therefore a teaching given solely for Vaidehi to fulfill her sincere wish to be reborn in a place that is free of sorrows and afflictions. Thus, the main subject of this sutra, the detailed instruction of how to contemplate on the features of Amida and the Pure Land, was taught out of the Buddha's compassion to save Vaidehi, a model of all suffering beings. By performing the practice of contemplation following Shakyamuni's direction, Vaidehi could reach emancipation.
はい、コイチさんありがとうございました。Thank you, コイチさん。ね、as he read the outline, I also, showed the, illustrations. ね、so this is a kind of story of royal family taught in the Contemplation Sutra. ね, so Queen Vaidehi is the main character, right? So this is the situation, right? And then, so her suffering is, so the outline didn't say, but eventually King Bimbisara was killed. And then, so her suffering is, husband was killed by son, and then she herself was confined in the tower, right? That's her suffering. And then her complaint, how come I have such a terrible son, right? And then Shakyamuni Buddha, how come you are, related cousin of that, such a, terrible guy, Devadatta, right? So she kind of suffered and complained, right? But the thing is, she totally forgot or ignored the cause of all those troubles, right? King Bimbisara, Queen Vaidehi, they decided to kill this ascetic. And then also, originally, they tried to kill Prince Ajatasattu. Right? She totally ignored those all causes and then just complaining, how miserable I am, or how terrible Ajatasattu and Devadatta are, right? So maybe this is our everyday life, when we suffer, have trouble, right? We just put aside all causes of trouble, suffering, and then we just complain, right? So maybe that's a reality of human beings. And then that is the one who should listen to the teaching, right? Awaken to the reality of our everyday life. So maybe this is a kind of brief summary of the point of the Contemplation Sutra. Okay. Hi. And then the last sutra is Amida Sutra, Nembutsu recitation. I think to talk about the Nembutsu recitation, maybe this is a good example. Because of COVID-19, our life has been totally changed, right? And then now we have a vaccine. It's a small dose, small kind of amount of liquid. But it is the crystallization of tremendous efforts, time, money of many people, right? Huge effort, time, money kind of encapsulated or crystallized in this small dose of, vaccine. I say that is one idea of Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, 6 Chinese character short phrase. Right? So the issue is there are beings like us in suffering in this samsara, right? And the solution, the goal is liberate them from a life of suffering in samsara, and then have them attain enlightenment, Buddhahood, right? So Buddha, being free from suffering, right? And they give a guidance to other people. And then how? So the path, the teaching, Amida Buddha or Bodhisattva Dharmakara established was, as I mentioned in the 18th bar. So just say Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, right? So this Namo Amida Butsu, 6 Chinese character, encapsulates everything necessary for all beings to be liberated from samsara and attain Buddhahood. And then this is a kind of embodiment, Amida Buddha's innumerable efforts, unfathomable compassionate aspiration, like a vaccine, right? All researchers, people, right? So all people's efforts put into or embodied into small, dose of a vaccine. In the same way, Namo Amida Butsu encapsulates everything. Right? And then we don't need other Buddhist practice. This is what we all need. So just say Namo Amida Butsu. Just receive Amida Buddha's deep, compassionate aspiration encapsulated, embodied in this Namo Amida Butsu. So that's why other Buddhas praise Amida Buddha. Wow, this Buddha is so cool, right? Amida is great. So I said that is the second part of Amida Sutra. The first part of Amida Sutra talks about the adornments of Pure Land, right? And the second part of Amida Sutra, 6 directions, many Buddha's names, and they all praise Amida Buddha. This is because this Buddha, Amida, has achieved such a tremendous, path, Buddhist teaching, right? All beings, whoever they are, can be liberated or attain Buddhahood just saying Namo Amida Butsu with the power of 6 Chinese character Namo Amida Butsu. So those are the kind of brief, explanation of the content or teaching in the 3 Pure Land Sutras. And then lastly, please let me share this, what to read or how to read Buddhist sutras or 3 Pure Land Sutras. Well, you can read the passage, story on page 3, page 3. This supplementary material, page 3. So in Japan, there is a Myokonin. That is a Japanese word. English translation is devout follower, Shoma-san. And then he was very devout Jodo Shinshu follower, but he was peasant and no education, and he couldn't read, right? But because of his devotion or deep appreciation of Dharma, he was kind of famous guy. But one of the minister's assistants of his temple was not happy with his reputation. So one day he tries to humiliate him, right? And then knowing, this minister's assistant knew Shoma couldn't read, and then gave, the larger sutra. Hey, Shoma, you have a very good understanding, appreciation of the Dharma, Amida Buddha's teaching. You can read this, in the presence of other many, members. This minister's assistant tried to humiliate Shoma. And then Shoma, he, received a book, although, kind of it's upside down, right? Because he couldn't read. He didn't know, right? Which is up, which is down. But he opened it and then read loudly, Shoma, I will save you. I will save you. And then close the book and then give the sutra book back to the minister's assistant. Say, this is what is written in this sutra. Right? I think this is a wonderful story of how to read, what to read. Right? And then Renya Shonin, this is one of Renya Shonin's words. Although some read Buddhist sutras means literally, can literally read sutras, they don't read them spiritually. Right? On the other hand, although some cannot read books literally, they can read them spiritually. Right? So reading Buddhist sutras, of course, sometimes important to read literally, or maybe to get the information, knowledge. We can just accumulate, get the information or knowledge, teaching literally, or maybe superficially, or maybe sometimes based on our human values or human perspective. But as I introduced, especially Pure Land Buddhism, I would say it is more important to read spiritually, to read deeply, especially adding or incorporating the Buddha's perspective or Buddha's values. Right? Sometimes we are totally misunderstand or misguided, try to read Buddhist scriptures based on human perspective, Bonbu perspective, or human values, right? Buddha is enlightened one, which means has totally different values or perspective, right? And then I know it's very difficult, almost impossible to see things from Buddha's perspective views, but it's, of course, at least we should keep in our mind, right, when we read the sutras. So this is a word written from Buddha's perspective, Buddha's values, right, which is totally different from ours. So in other words, what we need to do is we need to discover, find Buddha's wisdom and compassion beyond or behind words or symbols. We need to dive into, go deep into all those words, symbols, and then figure out what is the true intent that a Buddha wants to tell us, wants to deliver us. Right? So that is the most important thing, especially Pure Land Buddhism. In Pure Land Buddhism, in the scriptures, so many symbols, stories, narratives. And then sometimes people say, that is just a myth. That is just a fairy tales. I say that kind of reaction is based on human values, right? We should go beyond, right? So what is it? What's in it in those narratives or symbols? So in a sense, we are challenged, right? We need a very deep, profound reading when we, try to learn more about the Pure Land Buddhism. はい、ありがとうございました。ごめんなさい。Maybe I talked too long, but we have time for a Q&A. はい、浩二さん、ありがとうございました。